title, isn't it? I started to shorten it, and then when I saw it in print, Palma sent it. Oh, sorry. Now? Is it live? Is it on? Maybe not.
Oh, yeah.
Live?
Yeah.
Okay. When Palma sent me the title that she was submitting for the paper, then I saw it again and I thought, I like the long title. The sacrifices of many bring us the freedom to discover true peace. And thank you for joining us this morning. This week, of course, in preparation for this talk, I've been thinking a lot about peace and war. And you know that old song, War, what is it good for? Some of you may remember, okay? It's kind of old. I keep dating myself, I know. What is it good for? Absolute. Yeah, okay. Well, I began thinking about that and thinking about actually tying this in with Memorial Day and also with our vision centered in divine love. The idea that we can envision and experience a world that is unlimited and peace-filled. Well, tomorrow is the day, it's Memorial Day, our National Day of Remembrance, as we take the time to bless on their continued journey in life all those in the military who have given their lives to protect our country and to support each one of us. A little history is in order, I think. Years before Memorial Day became a national holiday in America, in 1968, it was called Decoration Day. And it got its name from the women in the South who began going out to their soldiers' graves and putting down wreaths and flowers and flags on them after the Civil War. And the day today it has expanded, okay? It includes our remembrance of all of the military who have passed away from all of the 12 wars that our country has been involved in. And it also includes our loved ones who have passed on, who we want to remember and honor in our lives. The Civil War, and I was surprised to see that, claimed over 250,000 American lives, more than the other 11 wars that America has been involved in. And because of the sheer numbers of those who had passed during the war, there was a problem with burial in this country. And the idea of creating national cemeteries was born to help with that. In 1968, Congress declared that Memorial Day was a federal holiday and a day to commemorate the sacrifice of the servicemen and women in all of our country's wars. And it was celebrated on May 30th every year. Well, in 1971, when Congress passed the Uniform Monday Holiday Act, which moved the holidays around so that federal employees could have a 3-day weekend, well, that changed because it's not always celebrated on May 30th anymore. It's always now the last Monday of the month of May. The first official observance of Memorial Day was at Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia. And it was James Garfield, who had served as a general in the Union Army, and actually later became our 20th president of the United States, gave the speech at this ceremony. And I wanted to share with you what he said. He said, "I am oppressed with a sense of the impropriety of uttering words on this occasion. If silence is ever golden, it must be here, beside the graves of 15,000 men whose lives were more significant than speech, and whose death was a poem, the music of which can never be sung. With words we make promises, plight faith, praise virtue. Promises may not be kept. Plight faith can be broken, and vaunted virtue can be only the cunning mask of vice. We do not know one promise these men made, one pledge that they gave, one word they spoke, but we do know that they summed up and perfected by one supreme act the highest virtues of men and citizens. For love of country, they accepted death and thus resolved all doubts and made immortal their patriotism and their virtue. After World War I, Memorial Day, as I said, was amended to commemorate the fallen service people from all of our wars. And some of our Memorial Day traditions are, of course, displaying the flag. And the flag, the United States flag is lowered to half-staff. But then, at noon, the flag is raised again, and this has significance. What I understand is the lowering of the flag is in respect and in remembrance of those who passed on. But the fact that living people raise that flag again back to full staff at noon, and it remains at full staff the rest of the day, is a symbol, it is a declaration that we, the living, will not allow these deaths to go in vain, that we, the living, have chosen to take up the march, to take up the banner, in seeing to that there is justice and peace in the world for all. And I thought that is a beautiful significance of the flag being lowered and then raised again on Memorial Day. Number two, we have a national moment of remembrance. At 3 o'clock tomorrow, we are all invited to pause wherever we are and take some moments, take some time to remember those who have given their service to this country. And of course, we have the Memorial Day parades. In cities and towns across our country, our neighbors come together to remember with pride those who sacrificed for our country. For Americans decorate the graves of soldiers and our loved ones. We go to the cemeteries to lay our flowers and wreaths. And then there is the wearing of the memorial poppies. In 1915, and I didn't know this, struck by the way that red poppies bloomed in abundance on the battlefields, a Canadian serviceman named Colonel John McCrae wrote a poem that was originally called "We Shall Not Sleep," but it is best known now as "In Flanders Fields." In 1918, that is 3 years later, an American teacher, Mona Bell Michael, was inspired and touched by McCrae's poem. And she pledged then to always wear a red silk poppy as a declaration of keeping the faith with all who had died. And this caught on. So to this day, we do the red poppy thing. Now, I had seen people with red poppies, and I didn't understand the significance of where that came from. And I realized that when I studied this holiday. And this habit, this tradition of wearing the red silk poppies took hold here in our country. In France, they do this, Australia, and there are some 50, 60 other countries in the world that do this. In the book of John 15:13, Jesus speaks of the sacrifice of our servicemen and women by declaring that there is no greater love that anyone can give than to be willing to lay down their life for another. So, despite the fact that many do not support the idea of war, it is so fitting that we remember our men and women who have served this country and have gone forward to protect our rights and our freedoms. Some of you today may be service people. You may have served in the past. Okay? And I would love it if you would be willing to stand if you have served in the military, if you are serving now in the military, and the families. If any of you are families of those who have served in military, I would really love it if you would stand so that we could appreciate you, so that we could give you our blessing and our thanks. How about it? Wow. Marvelous. Oh, gee, let's give them a hand. Thank you. We want to recognize the families too because they are making a sacrifice, okay, in their care of their loved service people, okay? And we thank you, we bless you. It is a tremendous gift. Now, if I could keep this from sliding down, we're going to be great. Our church vision statement is centered in divine love. We joyfully celebrate an unlimited and peaceful world for all. And this week I found myself wondering, well, just how can we stand firmly on this when our eyes and our ears, our senses tell us that this is a warring world that we live in? Through the advent of our information technology and our social media, the world has gotten so much smaller that we are aware of things going on across the globe. And we weren't aware of those things in years past. We are aware that people, nations fight, and people fight each other. We are aware that some people remain at war with others because they refuse to forgive a perceived slight or some injustice. Friends and loved ones and family members can be estranged from each other for years because of remembering and not letting go some hurt that occurred in the past. We war with others when we are critical, judgmental of them, and when we continue to focus on what is wrong with them and we don't see the mote that is in our own eye. And we also know that in the world today, there are people who are tortured with a war that's going on in their own mind and heart, being unforgiving towards themselves. These people are POWs of fear. They are POWs of anger. They are POWs of a sense of unworthiness, shame, guilt. And not knowing that they have the freedom to discover true peace, the true peace of God in their hearts. They place themselves behind the enemy lines of hopelessness and despair. I'd like to share two stories with you which illustrate how subtle our personal wars can be. In one story, a husband and a wife begin arguing over who should make the coffee in the morning. And the wife tells her husband, "You should make the coffee." Oh, do I see some recognition out there? Okay. The wife tells her husband, "You should make the coffee because you're up first, okay? And then, it's all ready when we want to sit down and have breakfast." And he said, "Nah." He said, "Making the coffee is like cooking to me. And cooking is a woman's job." Okay. To which she replied, okay, she had to pull out the stops now. She said, "Well, you should make the coffee because it says so in the Bible." I realized that it did. He said, "Where does it say that in the Bible, that I should make the coffee?" She opened the Bible to the book called Hebrews. I would say that after that, he made the coffee. And then there's another story. It's called Husband Down in Aisle 15. Now, in this story, a wife and her husband go grocery shopping. They go to their local supermarket, and she's pushing the cart. Granted, it's empty. She's pushing the cart. And the husband, as they are moving through an aisle, reaches over and picks up a case of beer and puts it down in the shopping cart. And she says, "Whoa, buddy, what do you think you're doing?" He said, "Well, hey, there's a sale on this beer. For $10 you can get 24 cans. And she said, "We can't afford that, put it back." And he does put it back, and they go on with their shopping. Now, several aisles over, when they are in the, what should I call it? The beauty aisle, I'll call it. Facial creams and all kinds of things like that. And she reaches down to a section of the shelf, and she picks up a $20 jar of face cream, and she puts it in the basket. And he says, well, what do you think you're doing, okay? And she said, well, it's my face cream. I need it. It makes me beautiful. And he said, well, heck, my 24 cans of beer do that, and they're half the price. And then we hear this announcement coming over the store intercom, husband down in aisle 15. And we can't tell what she did to him, but the picture shifts and he's lying face down in the middle of aisle 15. These are simple examples of some of us. These are examples of some of the personal, of the wars, the little wars that we carry on in our personal relationships. There are a million of these stories, and they're funny, okay? But they also reveal a deeper reality. That is that we often have difficulty in getting along peacefully with our loved ones, right at home, right where we live. But we practice war whenever we as individuals or as nations of individuals feel that something that we love, something that we value is threatened by others in some way. Maybe we fear the loss of love or respect or the support of others. I believe, as Gerald Jampolsky wrote in his famous transformative book, Love is Letting Go of Fear, that when it comes to human emotions, there is only two, love and fear, and everything else comes out of those. Think about it. Fear is the cause of war. When you last argued with someone, wasn't it really because either you or they felt that something that was valued, treasured, loved, was being taken away? The husband in our story, well, I imagine that he felt the loss of his, I'll call it protective shield. He feared the loss of his ability to be fun-loving and easygoing and accepting of his wife's demands, which he believed drinking his beer enabled him to do. And I'm thinking that the wife, with her face cream and having to give that up, she was concerned about the loss of her beauty in the eyes of her husband and in her own eyes. And so it really wasn't about not having that jar, $20 jar of cream. It was about this other underlying equivalent that was being felt as some kind of loss that caused the stress, the tension, the personal war. Some nations, because they fear the loss of the liberty, the freedoms of their people, fight against other nations which they feel are the aggressors. Other nations war because perhaps they are experiencing some lack or limitation, and they think that by fighting with another, their needs can be filled by taking the resources of land or other resources from other nations. We all say that we want to have peace of mind. We want to have peace in our relationships. We want to feel peace about our financial situation. We want to have peace-filled home, and in the workplace, we want to feel secure and safe. We want there to be nonviolence in our neighborhoods, in our cities, and in the halls of Congress, and in the world. And yet, in our country, we keep the concept of war alive by declaring a war on almost everything. We have declared a war on drugs. We have declared a war on drunk driving. And more recently, we have declared a war on cancer. Perhaps one step in moving away from the concept of war, is to be changing our words, the words that we use. Perhaps we can say something like, Instead of calling it a war on cancer, we can say we are engaged in a process of eliminating cancer. Or declare that we are working on changing the behavior that some have of driving while drinking. We can leave out the concept of war, and still move with the idea that we want to get across. There is a way to discover true peace and a way to manifest this in our personal world and in our collective world. And the key, I believe, is found within the first 4 words of our church's vision statement, which is centered in divine love. We know in unity that peace in the world begins with peace within our own consciousness. It is established in us as we say yes to the workings of God. We say yes to the divine spirit of peace that is within us. And saying yes to God is the holy work to which we are all called, especially in times of inner and outer war. We contribute to world peace as we become a center of peace right where we are, right in the midst of our own personal war experiences. We can stop the war that we have going on by stopping the tendency to be critical and to be judgmental of ourselves and others. We can realize that we can pull back from the misunderstandings and the disagreements that we may be embroiled in. We are living the way of peace as we choose to let the spirit of peace move through us, speak through us, touch the world through us. Just this week, President Obama made a historical visit to Hiroshima, Japan. And he is the first sitting president to have visited there in 71 years since we dropped the nuclear bomb there in 1947. And among other things that he said, we must have the courage to escape the logic of fear and pursue a world without nuclear weapons. This is what we need, the courage to escape the logic of fear. Because certainly we think that if another country is going to be the aggressor and try to take our freedoms, we must fight them. This is the logic of fear. But centering ourselves in divine love is how we escape the logic of fear and how we joyfully celebrate an unlimited, peaceful world for all. We can teach ourselves and encourage others to make it a habit to choose the positive, the life-affirming, the healing alternatives whenever life presents us the temptation to go to war with each other. By doing the work that the Holy Spirit calls us to, by doing the spiritual exercises that we call in unity prayer, meditation, contemplation, we learn how to get centered in this divine love. And we learn how to return to this center whenever life wants to push us into the negatives. In time, we learn that this is a lifelong process. It's a tool that we get to use over and over again until one day we discover that we have established within our heart and mind not an army base, but a spiritual base of love and peace. And from the center of this base of love and peace, which we have established in us, we can safely and securely launch all of our missions in life. The really big ones, like guiding our country into peaceful relations with other nations, and the small personal missions we have, like the one we call going shopping with the spouse. In closing, I'd like to share a favorite passage by Mark Nepo, and this comes from his book, The Endless Practice, Becoming the Person That You Were Born to Be. Mark writes, "Every day the heart keeps beating and the lungs keep breathing. Likewise, the endless practice of bringing our soul into the world lets us keep unfolding. It's a limitless journey of coming alive, which entails the messy, joyous, unfathomable drama of being human." He continues, "Like it or not, life keeps engaging us, asking that we follow what is real, what is true, until the light of our soul is drawn out of us and we carry what is real, until the depth of the world grounds us. By real, he says, I mean the ability to meet face to face and heart to heart, without pretense or illusion. When we can follow what moves us, we break open what is possible, and the light of soul pulls out of us. When we are moved to love and to care, who we are extends itself into the world, and it strengthens our roots. Often, it's our love of life that gives us the courage to follow what is real and true. And our love of others gives us the courage to carry what is real and true. Of course, there's no way to escape the need to do both of these, to let out the light of soul that is in us and to let the depth of the world in. This is the challenge. This is the opportunity that we have to discover true peace. God bless us all as we center ourselves and learn how to center ourselves in divine love and joyfully celebrate an unlimited, peaceful world for all. Have a great day tomorrow with family, friends. God bless you.